It was kept hidden from the world for 10 years. The beloved tiara of the rebellious Princess Margaret, a symbol of her dazzling and often scandalous life. After her death, everyone was certain her children would inherit this treasure valued at millions. But instead, the tiara simply vanished. No auctions, no official statements, just complete silence. What was it? A secret deal behind Buckingham Palace's closed doors? A clever scheme to evade colossal taxes? Or perhaps the princess's final wishes, meant to remain a secret? And the main question, how did a jewel steeped in rebellion and the spirit of lavish parties end up, years later, adorning the impeccably poised future queen, Kate Middleton? Today, we'll dissect all the versions, separate rumor from fact, and unravel one of the quietest yet most intriguing royal mysteries of recent times. Prepare yourself, because the truth hidden behind the glitter of diamonds will prove far more captivating than any official report. Stay with us to the very end to uncover every detail. Our story begins at the very heart of the Roaring Twenties. The world, recovering from the scars of the First World War, craved novelty, speed, and luxury. The era of jazz, bobbed hair, and Art Deco dictated its own rules. Austere geometric lines, bold contrasts, and exotic motifs. And the primary source of inspiration, captivating minds across Europe, was ancient Egypt. In 1922, Howard Carter unsealed Tutankhamun's tomb, and the world was seized by an authentic fever of Egyptomania. Lotus symbols, scarabs, and papyruses instantly migrated from ancient crypts into the sketches of fashion houses and jewelry ateliers. It was amidst this atmosphere of cultural effervescence in 1923 that British Prince Albert, the future King George VI, was preparing for his wedding to Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon. Following tradition, he commissioned a wedding gift for his bride, a lavish necklace of diamonds and pearls. The order was entrusted not just to anyone, but to the esteemed House of Garrard, the official jewelers to the British Crown since the mid-19th century. To receive an order from Garrard meant acquiring not merely an adornment, but a work of art, crafted to the highest standards and imbued with the spirit of monarchical history. Seemingly, the concept was flawless. An exquisite necklace from the nation's finest jewelers, a gift from the future king. However, the bride, the future Queen Mother, demonstrated unexpected resolve and a keen sense of style. Unlike her predecessors, who adored massive, weighty jewels, Lady Elizabeth valued elegance and contemporary relevance. The gifted necklace, however beautiful, struck her as too traditional for the new era. She made a daring decision for its time. Just a few months after the wedding, Lady Elizabeth returned the precious gift to Garrard's workshops, not for alteration, but for a complete metamorphosis. She requested the jewelers to dismantle the necklace and craft something entirely different from its stones, a fashionable bandeau tiara to be worn low on the forehead in perfect harmony with the 1920s aesthetic. This was more than a mere whim. It was a statement that modern, self-assured elegance was succeeding Victorian opulence. The Garrard jewelers brilliantly brought this bold vision to life. Inspired by that very Egyptomania, they chose the lotus flower as their central motif, a symbol of the sun, creation, and rebirth. The diamonds and pearls from the original necklace were arranged into an elegant, symmetrical composition of fanned elements, reminiscent of the sacred flower's petals. Thus, from a classic necklace which might have been lost among other royal jewels, a brand new, iconic piece was born, the lotus flower tiara, becoming the perfect reflection of its era. Take a closer look at the lotus flower tiara. It is not just an adornment, it is architectural jewelry in miniature, the ideal embodiment of Art Deco style, where strict geometry meets natural grace. Its design is built upon impeccable symmetry, creating a sensation of harmony and completeness. Every element, every curve is subservient to a single design concept. to recreate, in diamonds and pearls, the sacred flower blossoming at dawn. It took the Garrard jewelers nearly 300 diamonds to weave this icy lace. Each stone was hand-selected to perfectly match in color and clarity. The master artisans utilized both the classic brilliant cut, causing the stones to flash with myriad lights at the slightest movement, and the antique rose cut, which lends a softer, more vintage character to the sparkle. These stones were likely part of the original necklace. Collected together, they create a cascading effect of cool fire shimmering along the delicate platinum setting. But the true heart of the composition is the pearls. 3 large natural pearls, glowing with a soft lunar light, serve as the conceptual and visual centers of the tiara. The largest one crowns the central element, like a precious dewdrop atop a flower. 2 others, slightly smaller, are positioned at the base of the side arches, balancing the composition and adding depth. Their warm, iridescent sheen creates an exquisite contrast with the blinding cold of the diamonds, imbuing the piece with an aristocratic restraint. The entire structure of the tiara is built upon a rhythmic repetition of fan-like motifs, which, like petals, unfurl from the center. These elements are a direct homage to the iconography of ancient Egypt, where the stylized lotus was a symbol of rebirth and eternal life. 7 such fans, connected by diamond arches, form an elegant coronet. This is not merely a decorative pattern, it is an encrypted message, a tribute to a great culture and simultaneously a symbol of a new, blossoming era. The secret to the ethereal lightness of this seemingly complex piece lies in the mastery of its setting. In the Art Deco era, jewelers favored platinum, an incredibly strong yet malleable metal that allowed for the creation of incredibly thin, almost invisible settings. Thanks to this, the diamonds appear not to be fixed in metal, but to float in the air, bound only by threads of light. This technique allowed for the creation of a piece that appears both monumental and weightless. And imagine for a moment what it means to wear such a treasure. To feel the cool, smooth metal of the base touching your skin. To sense its delicate yet confident weight, a constant reminder of the status and history it carries. With every turn of the head, the tiara comes alive, catching the light and scattering hundreds of iridescent sparks. It's not just an accessory, it's a living artifact that engages in dialogue with its wearer, completing her image and bestowing upon it a truly royal majesty. When Garrard jewelers returned the Duchess of York's transformed treasure, it was a moment of quiet yet confident triumph. Before her lay not just a piece of jewelry, but the embodiment of her own vision, bold, modern, and impeccably elegant. The first time she wore the tiara was not for a grand state reception, but for an official portrait. This deliberate move allowed the masterpiece to be presented to the world exactly as she desired, without the hustle and bustle of balls, in perfect light, where every facet and every pearl could be immortalized. But the true debut, which transformed the tiara into a legend, was its public appearance at one of the glittering receptions of the late 1920s. Forget the tall, cumbersome constructions of the past that crowned severe updos. Duchess Elizabeth wore the lotus flower tiara exactly as it was conceived, low on her forehead like a precious bandeau ribbon framing her fashionable bob haircut. In the glow of the lights and under the gaze of hundreds of eyes, it appeared as a revelation. The diamond flower seemed to blossom directly on her brow, accentuating the purity of her skin and the sparkle of her eyes. This was more than just a public appearance. It was a manifesto. While the older generation of the royal family, in the person of Queen Mary of Teck, preferred to inspire awe and reverence with walls of diamonds, her daughter-in-law chose a different path, to enchant with grace and modernity. The lotus flower tiara became her main weapon in this quiet, stylistic revolution. It did not shout wealth, it whispered of impeccable taste. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Newspaper columnists, accustomed to describing royal jewels in terms of weight and cost, suddenly spoke of style, of art, of a new era. The lotus flower became a symbol of the younger generation of Windsors, elegant, keeping pace with the times, yet retaining royal dignity. Admiration mingled with a touch of envy in social circles, where ladies immediately rushed to commission something similar from their jewelers. And so, by virtue of one woman's keen intuition and daring spirit, the tiara ceased to be merely an expensive gift. It became her calling card, a symbol of her place at the vanguard of aristocratic style. Each subsequent appearance in the tiara only cemented its legend. The lotus flower and the future Queen Mother became inseparable in the public consciousness, and this initial triumph sealed the jewel's destiny for decades to come. The tiara's golden age dawned in 1960 on the wedding day of Princess Margaret to photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones. As a wedding gift, the Queen Mother presented this very piece to her younger beloved daughter. This was no mere temporary loan, but an outright gift of the treasure. From that moment, the lotus flower tiara became Margaret's personal property, and it was in her hands that it truly achieved its legendary status, becoming a symbol of an entire era of sparkle, glamour, and spirited defiance. Margaret, an icon of style for her generation, didn't merely wear the tiara, she breathed new life into it. While her mother favored wearing the jewel as a bandeau, low on the forehead in the 1920s fashion, Margaret lifted it higher, transforming it into an elegant, almost weightless crown. This simple stylistic shift fundamentally altered the tiara's perception. It appeared more regal, yet, thanks to its graceful design, never sacrificed its modernity. This was Margaret's genius. She possessed an unmatched ability to take classic pieces and present them with unparalleled audacity. The lotus flower became the princess's steadfast companion at the most significant events. From state banquets at Buckingham Palace to official visits across the globe, the tiara almost invariably graced her flawless hairstyles. It perfectly suited Margaret's delicate frame and refined facial features. Unlike the more massive diadems of the royal treasury, the lotus flower didn't overwhelm. Rather, it accentuated her natural elegance, becoming an indispensable part of her public persona, her true signature. For Margaret, it was more than mere jewelry. It represented an unbreakable bond with her mother, a symbol of her royal lineage, and at the same time, the perfect accessory for her vibrant individuality. The tiara was sufficiently majestic for official protocols, yet its clean Art Deco lines beautifully harmonized with the princess's rebellious spirit, a woman who famously befriended rock stars and challenged centuries-old traditions. Picture her at a state banquet, adorned in a flowing silk gown, an ever-present cigarette holder delicately clasped in her slender fingers, and this glittering constellation of diamonds nestled in her dark hair. The light from crystal chandeliers made the tiara burn with a cold fire, casting shimmering reflections onto her famously violet eyes. In these moments, she was the epitome of royal glamour, and the tiara, its crowning glory. Yet Margaret didn't only wear the tiara herself. In 1993, she performed a gesture of true generosity and continuity, lending the lotus flower to Serena Stanhope for her wedding to Margaret's son, David Linley. On that day, the tiara connected 3 generations of royal women, becoming a silent witness to family history, love, and tradition. For nearly 40 years, the lotus flower tiara was inextricably linked with Princess Margaret's name. It was part of her legend, a symbol of her unique place in the history of the British monarchy. This is precisely why what transpired with the jewel after her passing sparked so many questions and hushed whispers. In the history of the lotus flower tiara, you won't find tales of bloody curses or daring heists. Its darker side lies in the quiet whispers of palace corridors, the financial calculations hidden behind the glitter of diamonds, and the central question that puzzled experts after Princess Margaret's death in 2002. Why didn't the tiara, her personal property, and an iconic piece passed to her children, David and Sarah. The public was certain that this masterpiece would remain within the family, but it vanished, only to resurface years later in the Queen's main treasury. Compounding the mystery was the fate of another of Margaret's famous tiaras, the Poltimore. This grand diadem the princess had purchased herself, and her children indeed inherited it, later selling it at auction for a truly astronomical sum. The fact of this sale only highlighted the peculiar situation surrounding the lotus flower. If one iconic jewel was sold, then why was another, no less beloved, silently returned to the crown? This unleashed a torrent of rumors and theories. The most plausible, though decidedly unromantic explanation lies in the stringent laws of British taxation. Princess Margaret bequeathed a considerable fortune, and inheritance tax in the United Kingdom could reach as high as 40%. To settle this, her children would have had to sell a significant portion of their assets, quite possibly including the tiara itself. A well-founded theory suggests that an agreement was struck. The tiara, as an item of national and historical significance, was transferred to the state, embodied by the monarch, in lieu of tax payment. This was a cold, pragmatic calculation, one that ultimately preserved both her mother's legacy and the integrity of the royal treasury. Another theory, more steeped in palace tradition, posits that such was the express wish of either the Queen Mother or Princess Margaret herself. Perhaps the jewel was gifted with the stipulation that it served as a lifetime possession, but upon the owner's passing, it was to revert to the principal collection. This is a common practice, designed to prevent historical treasures from simply vanishing into private hands and to ensure they continue to serve the monarchy for generations to come. While there is no documentary evidence to support this, the version aligns perfectly with the spirit and logic governing the existence of royal jewels. And amidst these serious conjectures, there lingers one delightful legend, more a whimsical secret than a scandal. It's said that Reginald Wilcock, one of the Queen Mother's pages, once playfully tried on the tiara. This small, almost intimate episode is also a part of the jewel's untold story. It draws back the curtain on strict protocol, revealing that even the most majestic treasures harbor an unofficial life of their own, full of human foibles and amusing anecdotes that never make it into the headlines. On February 9, 2002, a whole chapter in the history of the British monarchy closed. Princess Margaret passed away. With her departed an era of inimitable style, daring elegance, and the royal glamour she so brilliantly embodied. And in that very instant, her beloved lotus flower tiara was left an orphan. For 40 years, it had been inseparable from its mistress's image, and now its future hung in the balance. The world held its breath, wondering, what would become of the rebellious princess's treasure? The atmosphere was filled with a quiet tension. Unlike many other royal jewels whose fate was preordained by centuries of tradition, the lotus flower was Margaret's personal property. By all rights, it should have passed to her children. But weeks turned into months, yet not a word was spoken of the tiara. It didn't surface at auction, nor was it seen adorning the head of the princess's daughter, Lady Sarah Chatto. The exquisite piece simply vanished from the radar, plunging into utter obscurity. This was not a grand finale, but a quiet, almost mysterious farewell. Instead of the fanfare of a Christie's auction, where another of her famous diadems later went under the hammer, the lotus flower tiara undertook its final journey in reverse. From the princess's private jewelry box, it quietly returned to the monarchy's main repository, into the treasury of her sister, Queen Elizabeth II. This unspoken transition marked the end of an era of private ownership and the beginning of its new life as a crown asset. For almost 10 years, the tiara languished in oblivion, nestled within the velvet darkness of the royal vault. To the world, it ceased to exist. Its light was extinguished. Its story, it seemed, was complete and filed away. It was no longer a symbol of Princess Margaret's glamour, but it had not yet become a symbol of anything new. This was a time of silence, a period when the jewel transformed from a living participant in society chronicles into a museum piece, patiently awaiting its moment to return to the stage and commence an entirely new chapter. Nearly 10 years of silence passed. 10 years during which the lotus flower tiara transformed from a living legend into an archived artifact. But in December 2013, at the annual diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace, an event occurred that sent the hearts of all royal history aficionados fluttering. Amidst the brilliance of the ballrooms, the young Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, appeared. And on her head, as if resurrected from oblivion, shimmered that very lotus flower. It was her first public appearance in a tiara since her wedding, and the choice was absolutely breathtaking. The return was nothing short of triumphant. In a single moment, Princess Margaret's ethereal treasure was back in the global spotlight. But this was an entirely new interpretation. While for the Queen Mother, the tiara was a fashionable bandeau, and for Margaret, a symbol of personal glamour, for Kate, it became a sign of profound respect for the history and traditions of the family she had married into. She wore it just as high as Margaret had, yet her overall look was different, understated, elegant, and impeccably royal. This change was monumental. The tiara, for decades associated with a vibrant, rebellious style icon, now crowned the head of a future queen consort whose primary talent was, and remains, flawless adherence to protocol. It was a kind of image reboot. From a personal treasure with a distinct character, it transformed into a dynastic artifact, a symbol of continuity. By choosing this particular tiara, Kate didn't just wear a beautiful object. She extended an invisible thread to history, paying homage to both the Queen Mother and her husband's legendary great-aunt. For the jewel, this was the zenith of its fame. Its value soared sky-high, and not in monetary terms. The historical significance of the tiara multiplied many times over. Now, it was no longer merely a diadem worn by two royal figures. It was the tiara that connected three pivotal female figures of the monarchy across the 20th and 21st centuries: the resilient Queen Mother, the dazzling Princess Margaret, and the future Queen Catherine. Each subsequent appearance of Kate in the lotus flower, especially in the early years of her marriage, only solidified this new status. The tiara became a symbol of her maturation as a full-fledged member of the royal family. Its second birth on the world stage was not merely a return. It was a canonization, the final transformation of a beautiful piece of jewelry into an invaluable relic whose story would now be written by new generations of monarchs. So, where is this legendary treasure today? The answer to that question is simple, yet imbued with grandeur. The lotus flower tiara is no longer anyone's personal property. After its return to Queen Elizabeth II's treasury, it officially became part of the royal collection, a compilation of art and jewels belonging not to the monarch personally, but to the institution of the crown. This means the tiara has forever become the patrimony of the British monarchy and the nation. It cannot be sold, gifted, or inherited by a specific family member. Its custodian now is eternity itself. Today, the jewel's status has radically shifted. From an elegant accessory, albeit a royal one, it has transformed into a historical artifact. When we see the lotus flower on the Princess of Wales, we must understand that it is not her personal jewel, but a loan from the principal treasury, personally approved by the reigning monarch. Each such appearance is a carefully considered gesture, symbolizing continuity and the unbreakable bond between generations. When not gracing official receptions, the tiara is stored in the strictly guarded vaults of Buckingham Palace, alongside other greatest relics of the dynasty. Attempting to value such a treasure in monetary terms is a futile exercise. Of course, its material worth is immense. Almost 300 diamonds of the highest quality, 3 large natural pearls, platinum, and the masterful craftsmanship of the Garrard jewelry house constitute a fortune. But this is only a fraction of its true value. The main component of its worth is its provenance, meaning its history of ownership. Just consider, created for a future queen consort, becoming the symbol of the most glamorous princess of the 20th century, and now gracing the head of the future queen of the 21st century. Every name in this chain adds invisible millions to its price. This is not merely a tiara, it is tangible history, embodied in metal and stone. Its true value is measured not in carats, but in decades of royal drama, triumph, and elegance. So we return to the question with which we began. Why did the lotus flower tiara not go to Princess Margaret's heirs? Now, the answer is clear. This decision was not driven by family scandal or a secret conspiracy. It was an act of wisdom and foresight, dictated by the stark logic of heritage preservation. Whether it was a pragmatic deal to settle inheritance tax or an unspoken agreement for its return, the outcome is the same. The greatest treasures must belong not to individuals, but to history. The tiara's return to the main treasury was not a loss for the family, but a gain for eternity. This tiara is a dazzling testament to how a jewel mirrors its era and its wearer. In the hands of the future Queen Mother, it was a manifesto of a bold new Art Deco aesthetic. Adorning Princess Margaret's brow, it transformed into a crown of glamour and sophisticated rebellion. And today, on the Princess of Wales, it has become a symbol of continuity, respect for tradition, and the serene dignity of a future queen. The same magnificent adornment, yet three profoundly different interpretations, three grand female destinies. The lotus flower is far more than just cold diamonds and pearls. It is the physical embodiment of an entire century of human stories. Within its facets are frozen the sparkle of the roaring 20s balls, the wisp of cigarette smoke from the most stylish princess's holder, and the austere glow of new millennium state receptions. It has been a silent witness to weddings, state visits, quiet family evenings, and long years of patient waiting in the darkness of the vault. It has absorbed the emotions, ambitions, and a fragment of the soul of every woman who wore it. This is precisely why, when we gaze upon it today, we see something far grander than a mere piece of jewelry. We see time frozen. We see an artifact that has outlived its creators and its wearers, carrying their stories forward, telling them without a single word, solely through its cool, undying radiance. Its own story is far from complete. It will continue when one day a new princess or queen dons the tiara, inscribing yet another chapter into its annals. For true masterpieces belong to no one, and yet belong to everyone. They do not die. They merely await the next grand moment patiently to once again illuminate it with their immortal light.